part of the testimony, but for you look at it.
Okay, we'll have that put on the record, absolutely.
I would like you for you to read it.
Yes, sir. Okay, who would like to start?
Go ahead.
As soon as you start
My
talking.
name is Manny Martinez.
Reside in Oregon. American citizen. I oppose 941 and denounce it. This bill protect no one, defend no one, enhance public, and do not enhance public safety. This bill is a masquerade for what is behind it. Individuals with an obsessed appetite for power, which I call tyranny, wants to introduce Marxism in this country, and can be done as long as the American people is armed. And they know that, you know that, I know that, and they know that. That's the purpose I am against this bill. Has nothing to do with safety. Has to do with the future of this country, which is collapsing by unscrupulous politicians. They are selling America free. But there are millions of individuals in this country that will not allow them. America will never die, regardless of who are in power. I lost my country once. I damn if I lost this one. This is a dishonor, a disgrace bill. And that's it, my testimony. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'll give you this picture here. That you can make it part of the country, part of the test. Ask these people, the family of these people. There are thousands and thousands of crosses. Every cross has a name on it. Ask the family of these people if they prefer check, what they call the people here saying, checks saves life. Tell these people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me get out of here.
Chairman Hoyle, committee, thank you for having me. My name is Jacob Nelson. I live in Happy Valley. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I'm here in opposition to Senate Bill 941. I came prepared with the statement that I made for the Senate hearing that I didn't get to speak at, talking about my history in the Navy and in the Constitution, and that stuff's been covered. So I rewrote what I have, and hopefully it'll be clear as I've done it on a napkin here in the last hour. But what I've noticed here, this is really, there's a couple questions that I don't think have been made clear that I'd like you to consider when you leave here. One is, we keep talking about sales, but this is really about transfers. And a transfer is a lot more than a sale, okay? And it has implications that go beyond what most people would consider a common sense control of sale when you start putting restrictions on these kind of transfers, which affect loans and sharing and that type of thing. And then I'm not sure why we beat around the bush about this, but what people I think are really concerned about, the people that are in opposition to 941, I think they're concerned about registration, okay? I am not opposed to background checks. I just don't want a system that registers every weapon that I own in the process of doing that background check. Okay, so if, I'm going to skip ahead. There was a lieutenant colonel up here that talked about military background checks and how, hey, those aren't a big problem and we do them all the time. And he was absolutely right. We do military background checks. They don't happen every time property changes hand. A military background check happens every couple of years. So I would like to suggest that you revisit some of the amendments that have been suggested, and perhaps a periodic background check without registration would meet everybody's desires on this. Registration is not what we want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and We really appreciate you being here today. I'm glad you got a chance to speak.
Thanks.
Sir?
My name is Richard White. I'm from Lane County, and I'm retired. 1989, they passed a law that federal firearms license dealers have to have a background check. And in 2000, they passed a law that gun shows had to have a background check. Now, 2015, they want 941. What are they going for after this? There's something, you know there is. When I left home, I looked up on Merriam-Webster dictionary, and I typed in infringe, and it says to do something that does not obey or follow / a rule or law, or to wrongly limit or restrict something such as another person's right. And that's what it's going for, people. They're going after our rights. When is it infringed? These 3 items are not infringement on the Second Amendment? I'm asking. But if you don't know, look it up. It's an infringement, and it's going to get worse. And another thing is the emergency clause. Why do we have an emergency clause? If this is for the people, let the people vote on it. If it passes, it passes. If it don't, that tells you. All these, the data suggests and all that stuff, it's all bull. They can't back it up. It's 40%, 80%, all that. They can't back that up. It's all bull. Let people vote on it. Drop the emergency clause.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Representative Close, sorry. I forgot.
It's been a
You're
long
new, you're new.
I wanted to go on the record for those maybe on the committee that don't know, and I'm sorry that he left actually, Mr. Martinez is a dear friend of mine. He's very passionate, as many people are. I just sort of, for a little background, I don't know if you know, but he was escaped communist Cuba. He was tortured, he was jailed, and he went through a lot. And so his passion, you saw that, and he's just, I love and respect the man a lot, and I'm thanking you for letting him speak, and I know he gets pretty excited, but that's a little background so you know why.
That's really appreciated. Really gives some insight into why he cares about this so much. I appreciate the comments. All right, with that, we have answer.
Chair Hoyle, members of the Rules Committee. Recently on the steps of the Capitol, someone asked me, why are they...
Identify
Sorry,
yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm Dave Simmons. I'm from rural Cook County. On the steps of the Capitol, someone asked me, why are they making me prove I'm not a criminal? And I realized that really is the most fundamental issue with this legislation. Why does everyone have to prove they're not a criminal? A state-sponsored screening tactics just reduce us to the level of common criminals or at best untrustworthy children who need to ask permission from the nanny state. But even beyond that, functionally, background checks can only detect those who have been already deemed to be too dangerous to be trusted with a firearm. So since we already know who they are, why are you leaving them at large among us if they're that dangerous? They can, of course, get a firearm anyway. And for that matter, if we can't trust them with a firearm, why trust them with kitchen knives or even gasoline? And what sin have we ordinary citizens committed that we deserve to have these dangerous people turned loose among us and then, in the final irony, be forced to prove that we're not one of them when we attempt to purchase something? I live next door to a criminal psychopath, a meth addict who has multiple felony convictions, including one for ex-felon in possession of a firearm, even more misdemeanor convictions, and many, many arrests. My wife and I recently obtained a civil stalking order against him, and he has already violated it twice. But somehow, apparently, some people here think that if he decides to try to kill both of us, he's going to meekly submit to a background check before buying a firearm from one of his meth addict buddies. Got a bridge I'll sell him. At this man's sentencing hearing, the judge informed us that despite his many crimes and the danger to us, she could not imprison him because of Oregon's uniform sentencing guidelines, which she explicitly told us in court had been imposed upon her by the state legislature. But meanwhile, the same crowd who are demanding more background checks are simultaneously complaining that Oregon's Measure 11 sentences are too harsh and wanting it to make more difficult for ordinary citizens to obtain the means to defend ourselves against the criminals they've turned loose among us. Until the legislature does something to remove from society those whose propensity for criminal violence is so serious that we are afraid to let them own a firearm, I can only conclude that there is some agenda other than public safety
Thank you,
driving
Mr.
this
Simmons.
mindless obsession
Thank you,
with background
Mr.
checks
Simmons.
and in fact with firearms in
Thank you,
general.
Mr.
Thank you
Simmons.
very much for the time. I apologize for being over.
No, it's fine, and please submit that testimony in written form, we'd love to have that on the record.
I certainly will. Can I mail it to the email address?
Yes, that would be fantastic, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.